day and night. I feel like a king, oh yeah. Baby, can't help but stare. Such a rush, baby. Oh, when you touch me, baby. Such a rush, baby. When you love me, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, guys and dolls, cats and chicks, you're listening to Viva ENT. This is Johnny the Capo. I'm live on the radio in Seattle with my special co-host today, Miss
Karen KZ Zamit.
All right, KZ. And, of course, the greatest producer in all the world.
It's Eric C.C. Ryder.
All right.
C.C. Ryder. I like it. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to believe this, but I am such a lucky guy. We have a legendary performer, not performer, forgive me, songwriter, producer, and maybe a performer. It's possible. Mike Stoller is going to be on our show today, and we can't wait to get him. I think we're in progress of getting him on.
Yeah, we're working on that right now.
And do you need LB's number by any chance? From Larry from the Temple Theater?
We'll get that once we take the break.
Sounds good. Okay, now, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I've had Mike on the show probably, I don't know, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, maybe 3 years ago. And what a great guy. He's a lot like Nino Temple. He just likes to relax, sit back, and talk about the great stories of the rock and roll era. And I love him. And it's something that I'm passionate about. And I just love hearing these stories about these great artists year after year after year, man. I've been doing this show for 7 years.
For sure. You got to keep the music alive.
Keep the music alive. And, you know, Karen is actually, KZ, do you prefer KZ?
You know, I get called a lot of things. Usually you call me Zam.
I like Zam.
All right. I'll answer to all of it.
Okay, so Zam, we have a special feature on the half hour today. And Karen is bringing on an artist. Tell us what's going on with that.
Yes. So early 1980s funk and soul band now has a new EP release of unheard music being published by a London record label. The band we're talking about is Teleclear, and we are going to have a couple of the original players and the main producer, Tony Benton, on the show with us.
Today?
Yeah, today after 5:30, so stay tuned.
We got stuff going on this show, I'll tell you that right now.
Absolutely, and we are so excited by our next guest.
Are you kidding me? I'm so excited I haven't been able to sleep for 3 days.
Well, just considering you just booked this yesterday, that's I'm not sure it's
I've been
entirely
thinking about it
connected.
for a couple weeks already.
But why don't we go ahead and introduce him?
Ladies and gentlemen, a rock and roll legend on Viva ENT today, Mr. Mike Stoller. Mike, say hello to Seattle.
Hey, Johnny.
Hey, Mike.
How are you?
Oh, I'm great, man. It's
Good to be with you again.
It's nice to have you on the show. Yeah, again is right. You know, Mike, I love these stories, and I love to have guys like you on our show because it's just a, you know, I grew up on paying attention to the chart statistics, what songs were number one, who were the songwriters on all the albums, and then, of course, I always seen Leiber Stoller. So man, this is like such an honor to have you on the show. My producer is Eric, so he might chime in from time to time. Well, I also have my co-host today. Her name is Zam.
Hello.
Karen Zam, and she might chime in too. But meanwhile,
Okay.
I want to start off the show talking about the the legendary trip. Who was on the boat? I always forget if it was you or Jerry. Who was on the boat?
No,
and one guy's waiting in New York.
It was me.
You were on the boat.
It was me. Yeah, you know, when you start off writing, producing early on,
Right?
it takes a while before you can ever accumulate any
Correct.
And I got a royalty check for $5,000 back in 1956, and I thought, well, I'll never see that much money again at one time. And I had always wanted to go to Europe, and I had never been.
Uh-huh.
And my first wife and I just put what we owned, which wasn't much, in storage, and took off for Europe for like 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
I said goodbye to Jerry. He wasn't too happy about the fact that I was leaving.
I bet.
Because, you know, we were partners. So I went off to Europe, had an amazing time. By the way, when I got to Paris, they had big signs up in the street that Edith Piaf was appearing at l'Olympia Music Hall. And I went, and she introduced a Leiber Stoller song in French to a Parisian audience, and that was called L'Homme à la Moto. But in English, our original title was Black Denim Trousers and Motorcycle Boots. And
I saw
so
that.
that was kind of amazing. Then, of course, we ended up in Italy and decided to come home like we imagined our grandparents might have traveled. And so we took a ship. And it was a beautiful ship. It was called the Andrea Doria.
Okay.
And it left Naples on its way to New York, and we almost made it, except that there was a collision between a Swedish ship ran into the Andrea Doria.
Wow.
And, I thought that was it, because we were listing, and we didn't know anything that was going on except that the boat was sinking. Fortunately,
Jeez.
I mean, I just said to myself, this is it. And but fortunately, we made our way down to the low side of the boat and managed to get down a Jacob's ladder into a broken lifeboat.
That's a Titanic moment.
I'd say.
Yeah, well, by that time, other ships came around.
Wow.
And the Ile-de-France was all lit up with bright lights, and a lot of the passengers were picked up by their lifeboats. But we were in a broken Andrea Doria lifeboat, and we couldn't steer the boat. So I was just happy when we got out from under this broken hulk, and
I'm
away
surprised.
from the
I'm surprised.
suction.
I'm surprised you didn't write a song about that.
Well, yeah.
Maybe.
People ask me about that all the time.
Yeah.
I usually write about happier incidents. At any rate, we finally got picked up by a freighter called the Cape Ann,
Wow.
at which point I sent a wire from the Cape Ann to Atlantic Records in New York because I was going to meet Jerry Leiber there.
Cool.
And we had arranged this even though we were in California when I left,
Uh-huh.
and we lived there, but we were going to meet, and so he knew that I was okay, and I just left a message, call my father and my sister, let them know.
Call
I'm
my
all right.
peeps.
So anyway, when I got off the boat, the freighter, the Cape Ann at New York Harbor, I came down the gangplank, and Jerry Leiber just ran up to me and he said, Mike,
Mike.
we got a smash hit. I hadn't seen him in 3 or 4 months. And, it's the first thing he said to me.
And Mike is
said,
like, I could have
"You're kidding."
died.
Yeah. Well, I said, you're kidding. He said, no, Hound Dog. I said, Big Mama Thornton? He said, no, some white kid named Elvis Presley. And that's the first I heard of Elvis.
And the song went on to be number 1 for 11 weeks.
Something like that, yeah. I heard it 2 days after I got off the boat.
Cool.
And, it was all right. It wasn't as groovy as Big Mama Thornton's record, but the kid had some talent.
Right. I like the Big Mama Thornton version, but I got to tell you, I really think Elvis's version is cutting edge for the time. His voice was like a razor, and it was like a pure shot of adrenaline. The way that he recorded that song.
It was indeed.
Yeah, no question.
And as I said to a lot of people who asked me about it, after I heard his record, and then later, after it sold over 7 million singles, I began to see some merit in it.
So you don't feel like you can tell when something's going to be a hit, or was it just that you couldn't tell because that was your first?
Well, no, it wasn't a first.
Yeah, Kansas City was your first.
It was the biggest.
Yeah,
and
it was the biggest
at that time, for sure.
Sure.
And it was already a hit by the time I heard it.
Right.
Jerry had told me we got a smash hit. He wasn't fooling around. But fortunately, because of that, the people who controlled Elvis's recordings and songs contacted us and asked if we had anything else that might work for Elvis. And Jerry thought of this kind of blues ballad that we had written and recorded on our own little label, Spark Records, and sent that in, and Elvis liked it and recorded it, and that was Love Me. And that became a big hit, and then they asked for a song for a movie called, well, I forget what it was called.
I think Loving You, probably. You guys wrote Hot Dog for... Title. Yeah. Go ahead.
Right, you got it.
Yeah. Loving You, Hot Dog.
Then they asked us to write songs for a new movie, and we had taken a trip into New York to visit the guys at Atlantic Records, because we were producing records for them. And we were having a great time in New York also. We had stayed in a hotel suite, so we each had a bedroom, and we put a upright piano into the living room in case something came to mind.
Yeah.
And we ended up, the music publisher said, they gave us the script, and of course we threw it in the corner with the Where and What's On in Town magazines and forgot to look at it. And one day, Gene Auerbach walked in. He was with Hill and Range, and they controlled Elvis's publishing. And they said, "Where are the songs?" And we said, "Don't worry, you're going to have them." He said, "I know, I'm not. I'm going to have them because I'm not leaving till I get them."
Wow.
So he pulled a big overstuffed chair in front of the only way out, and he said, "I'm taking a nap. See you later." So
that sounds like a movie scene.
We 4 songs in about 5 hours.
Cool.
And one of them became, then that title of that song became the title of the film, and that was Jailhouse Rock.
What a lot of people
And
don't
we
know
also
is that the title of the movie was different than Jailhouse Rock. What was that?
It was, I think it was Ghost of a Chance.
Ghost of a Chance. Ain't that something? That's a big trivia question right there.
And it was a song title already anyway.
Well, no kidding. So you wrote Jailhouse Rock, Treat Me Nice, You're So Square, Baby, I Don't Care. What was the other one? Young and Beautiful?
The other one had a double meaning for us at that time. It was I Want to Be Free.
Oh, I
and
like
we
that.
were trying to get out of the hotel room.
I want to be free. Free.
Yeah. You got it.
Inspiration comes from the most bizarre circumstances sometimes.
I'll tell you.
Sometimes, yes, indeed.
But unless your boat almost sank.
But anyway, due to that, Elvis, who knew a lot of the other records that we were making,
right,
with the Coasters and
the Drifters,
other people, so he wanted to meet us, and so we went to meet him at the Radio recording studio, and little by little, in fact, very quickly, the RCA A&R man kind of just left, and Jerry and I took over the production of those records for the film.
And then came King Creole.
Yeah, that was the next one. But we hit it off with Elvis easily. The only thing that we had to remind him, this was early in Elvis's career, pretty early. It was after the Sun Records time, but early on in RCA Victor and in movies. And we had to remind him, say, my partner here, he's Jerry, and I'm Mike. So you don't have to call us sir.
Yes, sir.
He was a very polite Southern boy.
Yes, sir.
How often did you get to interact with him?
Well, that was like a week spent in the studio, at least a week, because, we were used to making records with the R&B records and such, and we went to a studio. We had to prepare, and we were allowed 4 songs in 3 hours. Otherwise, you went into the deadly overtime with the musicians' union.
Right.
So when we went in where they were recording Elvis at Radio Recorders, a studio that we had worked in on other things, man, they were eating lunch in the studio on studio time, and he had his entourage with him, the guys they called the Memphis Mafia.
Right.
Georgie Klein, who passed away not too long ago.
Red West.
Lamar
Fike.
Some of the other guys. Anyway, it was like a party. And they didn't watch the clock at all. We were used to watching the clock.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time. We got along with him really well. Really well.
I think you got along with him too well as far as the colonel was concerned.
That came about. Unfortunate and unpleasant as it was, the colonel didn't want anybody to get too close to Elvis.
That's correct.
Obviously, he was afraid that they might come up with a song that Elvis loved, and they didn't have the publishing rights.
Right. We know about that. with that fact that you're just saying, because of you guys writing all those great songs in the beginning for Presley, and then all of a sudden around 1966, 67, those good songs weren't there anymore, and he suffered for that.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you something else. We had an opportunity to do a song score for a film based on a Nelson Algren novel, A Walk on the Wild Side.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually, it was made into a film.
Was that Walk on the
before
Wild
that
Side,
happened.
or was that Walk on the Wild Side the one that Jane Fonda did?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't think that was Jane Fonda.
Was that West Side Story?
I could be wrong. I know Jane Fonda.
Yeah.
She's a good friend.
I'm thinking it was West Side Story. Maybe?
No, it was called A Walk on the Wild Side.
Yeah.
It was later made into a film.
Right.
But at that time, they wanted us to write the song score.
Mm-hmm.
They had Ilya Kazan to direct,
Yike.
Bud Schulberg to write the screenplay, James Wong Howe to do the cinematography, and we were thrilled. I mean, what a great opportunity. And, of course, they wanted us to get Elvis to play the lead.
Right.
So we were thrilled. We went to the publisher's office and told them about this great possibility and how exciting the whole thing was. And, of course, behind this, we knew that Elvis was a big fan of Marlon Brando and loved the film
Wild Ones.
On the Waterfront.
Oh, yeah.
And all those people had made that film. Kazan, Schulberg, James Wong Howe. And we thought, wow, we're delivering such a gift to this guy.
Yeah.
And we waited for the publisher to speak to the colonel. He had us wait outside the room. And then we were finally called back in, and he said, the colonel says if you ever try to interfere with the career of Elvis Presley, you'll never work in Hollywood, New York, London, or anywhere.
Yeah, he meant it, too.
And that was such a disappointment to us.
I know.
Because it was something that could have really stretched Elvis as an artist.
As an artist, there's no question about it.
And then years later, after Elvis passed, Jerry and I went for the first time to, about 20 years after he passed, and we went to Graceland, and we got a private tour with Georgie Klein.
Oh, my gosh.
And we told him this story, and that's why we stopped writing for Elvis.
I know.
And he said Elvis would have cut off his arm for that opportunity. He never knew about it.
Yeah, I know he didn't. And every time he went into the studio searching for material, especially in the 66, 67-ish, 65-ish, he was begging for your type of songs, And one of the greatest performances he did was "Fools Fall in Love," and that was he released that about 1967, and it was a great recording. He was a great voice, but it was a Leiber and Stoller song that inspired him to sing like he did in the early 60s, There's no question.
What happened was after this thing happened, and that was early 60s, we just decided, we decided not to write for him because
I know.
about that opportunity. And after that, he still liked our songs, so he started recording songs we'd done with other people.
Yep, exactly.
And,
Little Egypt was one.
Yeah,
He did a great job on Little Egypt.
he did a great job on almost everything. And
Mm-hmm.
but you know, he needed a song to sing, and after a while, he had these kind of not so good songs
I think
that
you
went into the movies.
right. I'm pretty sure you guys wrote "Saved," right?
Yep.
I'm saved.
Yeah, we had
That one, right?
we wrote that and recorded it with Laverne Baker.
Right. And you
And
noticed
she had a hit on it.
you noticed he chose that for the '68 comeback special.
Yes,
He-
I
he-
was very pleased about
He-
that.
and let me
I-
tell you
I
what,
loved
that
the way he did it.
performance of "Saved" on the '68 comeback special, one of his best performances of all time. He also did Little Egypt in that show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
So he
did.
still
Yeah.
he was still looking for you and Jerry, man.
I know, but it was sad, you know.
Sad. It was sad. It was such a
Because we could have done a lot of good things and interesting things together, not just, you know, making hits, but doing some stuff that might have really stretched him out, because he had great talent, and
Yeah.
a lot of it was never even fully realized.
I got to tell you, one of my favorite songs that you guys did, and that Elvis did, was "Girls, Girls, Girls." He put fire to that song. I mean, the Coasters
Yeah,
version
and
was
that was-
good, but his
Yeah.
version was like it was like Hound Dog, DJ Fontana on the drums, and he's hitting those drums like he did in Hound Dog. It was a great recording. Now,
Yeah.
Mike,
He was a good,
go
good
ahead.
drummer. He passed recently. didn't
Yeah, I know. He's been on our show.
Oh.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I met him in years later,
Mhm.
but I met him on Elvis Week. You know, they bring me down in August when it's kind of hot down there.
It's
But,
a rainy night in Georgia, man. Now listen, Mike. So now,
Yes, sir.
I think one of the reasons why the Colonel feared you guys is because you guys were producers, and you were more than songwriters. You were producers. He was afraid of you guys getting a hold of Elvis, for one thing. Am I right?
I think so. He didn't want Elvis to.
He didn't want right.
He didn't want anybody to get too close to him, because you know, he had his boyhood friends that were hired
Oh yeah.
companions,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
and you know, some nice guys. Jerry Schilling was a boyhood friend of Elvis's, and I see Jerry here
Yeah, Jerry's a cool guy.
now and then.
So now let's talk about some of the other acts that you guys produced. You had the Drifters, the Coasters were dynamite, and you even
Yeah,
had Jay and the Americans. That guy was a good singer.
Well, there was a couple of them.
Oh yeah,
Because the first record was Jay Traynor, and then he left the group, and a guy named Dave came in, and Dave became Jay.
yeah, cool. Well, and they did. What did they do? They did Some Enchanted Evening, Only in America. You guys wrote that.
Yeah, with Barry Mann and Cynthia Wilde.
All right. Did you guys write the other one too?
We wrote on Broadway with them,
Oh yeah, that's right. On
which
Broadway.
we did with the Drifters.
Spanish Harlem, Stand By Me.
What an amazing, historic list of songs.
It's incredible. You guys,
Well,
you guys are the Lennon and McCartney of the late '50s, early '60s, no question.
You gave me another songwriting duo as an analogy.
What was that?
I don't remember. I was hoping you, but it wasn't those.
Okay, you got to
Well,
refresh
Lennon
my
and
memory.
McCartney were really the Leiber and Stoller of
Lennon and McCartney were the
Well,
leader, right?
of the Beatles, not the other way around.
I
Leiber and Stoller.
was a big fan of the Beatles right from the get.
Yeah,
right
me too.
From I Want to Hold Your Hand, and the on into the more adventurous stuff they did. That was wonderful.
You know, a lot of people don't get the idea. You can be a fan of Elvis and Ricky Nelson and that era and still be a fan of the Beatles. You know, because I am.
I never analyzed that. I just know what I like.
Right, exactly. I'm the same. I'm definitely the same. So, so tell us some great stories about the Drifters.
Well, the Drifters, we had a song that we didn't produce, but we wrote, recorded by the Drifters way back, and it was produced by Nesui Ertegun, Ahmet Ertegun's older brother.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Nesui used to love the work that Jerry and I did when we had this little label, Spark Records, with our mentor, Lester Sill.
Cool.
And it was due to Nesui. He sent some of our records that were selling very big in L.A. To his brother and Jerry Wexler in New York.
Jerry Wexler.
Atlantic Records.
Huge.
And they offered us a deal.
A deal
make
you
the
couldn't
records
refuse.
And we'll pay you a royalty just for making the records, as well as the songs.
Wow.
And
Good deal.
they told us later that that was the first independent record production deal ever made.
A great
then it
deal for
became-
those days.
Then it became the way all those things went. So we had this group that called the Robins, and we had a couple of records that got very big in L.A., but we didn't have the funds to promote it elsewhere. But those were like Riot and Cell Block Number 9
Right.
and Smokey Joe's Cafe.
Yeah.
And then Atlantic started an Atco label, and they took the Smokey Joe's Cafe from Spark Records and then moved it onto their Atco label. And that's how we got started. But, of course, we wanted to take the group with us, the Robins, but their manager wanted to start his own record company. So we took a couple of the guys who wanted to go with us, and we formed a group called the Coasters,
Oh, yeah.
featuring Carl Gardner
Mm-hmm.
as the lead, and then bringing in Billy Guy,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually there were a couple of other personnel changes, and we got Dub Jones,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the bass voice on Why Is Everybody Always Picking on Me?
Why is everybody always picking on me?
Oh, you got it down.
Thank you so much.
Charlie Brown was the song.
Charlie
wasn't it?
Brown. Yeah, what a great song.
Yeah.
You know, I still play that song. I work as a pro DJ. I'm also a musician and singer. Play with my own band here in Seattle. But whenever I DJ, I stick that Charlie Brown tune in all the time. And also
great.
I also play Jailhouse Rock all the time too.
They still work.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
don't stop. Don't stop.
Mike, I'm wondering if you had any memories about writing "Stand by Me," because that's got to be one of the songs that had some of the biggest cultural impact, at least in the United States, that I can think of.
Well, beyond the United States, as you know, when Meghan Markle married Prince Harry, that was the song that
They
that they
play.
chose.
Wow.
I did not know that,
And
but
it
very
was-
fitting.
Oh yeah, well, it's a beautiful recording. They a black choir in England did an amazing arrangement and version of it.
Yeah.
But when we were writing it, I came to our office one day. We had a small office in between the time where we were working out of Atlantic's waiting room or their studio, and when we set up our office in the Brill Building. And just prior to that, we had a little office on 57th Street. And I came in one day, and Jerry and Ben were working over the lyrics. And but Ben had a beginning fix on the tune, and he started to sing, and I went to the piano and sussed out the chords. And then I came up with a bass pattern and Jerry said, "Oh, now we got a hit."
Yeah.
Anyway, that bass pattern
Yeah.
has
With
served the song very well, and the song has served the bass pattern very well too.
Well, I got to say this because I performed the song myself. The bass pattern is probably one of the most familiar bass patterns in pop music history.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question about it.
Well, whenever, I mean, I go, if I'm going into a hotel by chance and
hmm
somebody's having a wedding or something,
Oh, yeah. You're going to hear
You can
Stand By
always-
Me.
you just hear the bass pattern start and everybody knows the song.
Oh, yeah. It's a great song. It's been recorded by everybody on the planet Earth, I imagine. John Lennon, Benny King, Mickey Gilley, goes on and on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Ben, that's the original record.
Of course.
And, I did love Benny King. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
a fabulous guy and a tremendous talent. I went to his funeral a few years ago. It
Yike.
was very sad.
Yeah. So now a guy that we talk to on the show all the time, who's your buddy, Nino Tempo. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We love talking to Nino just like we love talking to you. As a matter of fact, it's so comfortable talking to you and Nino. It's like I've known you guys forever almost. It's really cool. Do you have any
Well,
stories about Nino?
You make it easy.
Thanks, man.
You make it easy. But I
Thanks,
met Nino in 1949.
Cool.
I had just moved to Los Angeles,
Yikes.
and I had a cousin who lived here, my cousin Robert, and I hadn't seen him in about 12 or 13 years.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't know anybody in Los Angeles. So I got his address, and I went up to meet him. And he had a friend who played, Joe Cisneros was his name, and he played saxophone and clarinet mostly.
Uh-huh.
And he knew Nino, and so we went over to his house. Well, I was 16, and Nino at that time
Oh, my
was
God.
14, and Carol, his sister, who later became known as
April.
yeah.
What a story.
She was probably 15 or 16 herself. And we hit it off. We became very friendly, and then we'd go see jazz at the Philharmonic together.
Cool.
And then, of course, I moved back to New York in '57.
Uh-huh.
I moved back to L.A. the second time in 1989.
Oh my gosh.
And I bumped into good old Nino. And I got to tell you, I know he had these big hits with April, and they're wonderful records. They're a lot of fun. But Nino plays the saxophone. I mean, he is incredible.
Right.
Put him in a league with Stan Getz,
All the greats.
Zoot Sims. He's fantastic, and I had the opportunity to record with him a couple of things that I had written, and they're some of my favorite records.
Nino was the type of musician that could hear things that other guys couldn't hear, or didn't hear.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
You could go pop, 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 and then he would put boom, and this and that in it. you know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden you got something fresh and exciting, and that's the kind of guy he was.
Yep, and actually, I'm looking out a window at my house on the hillside, and I'm seeing the building that he lives in.
Right now?
Because we're very, very close. And
how cool.
We used to spend a lot of time walking together, just to keep in shape a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And now, as often as possible, whenever we can, we get together and have lunch.
You know what I thought would be a great idea, Mike, is if we do a show with you and Nino on the air together.
That sounds great to me.
Yeah, I know Nino would jump on it, and if you're cool with it, I'll try to make it happen ASAP. Because that would be
happy to do that.
That would be rock and roll history, and the cool part about it is I would be part of it.
Well, that's even better.
Mike, we're gonna wrap up right now. Can you tell our listeners about anything that's going on with you, Facebook, website, anything that you're promoting at this particular time?
Well, we've had this show, Leiber and Stoller songs, called Smokey Joe's Cafe.
Correct.
On Broadway for 5 years and so on. And it plays, fortunately, somewhere in the country it plays almost every day. Some city, somewhere.
I know.
Some small theater, some big theater.
It's a big hit.
And just today, I got word that the Dramatists Guild nominated it as one of the best musical revivals of the past year.
Yeah. I've seen the show. It's a great show.
Today.
Great show.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Mike Stoller, the songwriting team of Jerry Leiber and Mike Stoller, one of the greatest songwriting teams in the history of pop music. I'm not going to say rock and roll. I'm going to say pop music. You guys...
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. You were so much versatile. And also, I'm going to make that show happen. Nino Temple and Mike Stoller on Viva ENT, live in Seattle. Mike, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Mike.
We're going to have...
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you, handsome.
Thank all of you.
Thank you so much. We're going to have a quick word from our sponsors, and then we have our special guest coming on right up after the break. Thank you so much.
As we go to break, we're playing a little bit of the Robins doing Smokey Joe's Cafe.
Yeah.
Her chill was running down my spine at Smokey Joe's Cafe. Oh, I could smell a sweet perfume. She smiled at me, my heart went boom. Then everybody in the room at Smokey Joe's Cafe, they said, man, be careful. chauffeur. That pig belongs to Smokey Joe. So from behind the counter.
This is Johnny the Gangster with Viva Productions, King of Entertainment, one-stop shop for all your entertainment needs. We have DJ service for weddings, corporate, and private events. Thrill your guests with Vegas Nights Casino Party, blackjack, craps, roulette, poker, and more. We also have event photography and limousine service. Call Viva Productions 206-542-5733 or find us at viva-productions.com. A little less conversation, a little more action, you got it. Call Johnny the Gangster. I'll make you a deal you can't refuse.
Life's a celebration. Grand Event Rentals makes your event their top priority. They are your full-service, special event, and party rental provider, supplying everything you need from start to finish. Their professional sales team and event staff work with you to create your dream event. With every event, Grand Event Rentals customers' needs are the most important. Whether you're planning an intimate outdoor wedding or an elaborate black tie gala, the Grand Event Rental specialists make great pride in providing our event planning experience to help create an unforgettable event. Please go and visit the Bellevue showroom, Grand Event Rentals, or make a one-on-one appointment. Talk to them. They're trained, they're knowledgeable, they're event specialists, and they are going to take you through step-by-step everything that you need to make your day a success. Call Grand Event Rentals. Their number is 425-462-7368, or go to grandeventrentalslaw.com. Brides, do you want your big day to be stress-free, perfect, and stay within your budget? Well, Brides Club has all the inside information to make your dream a reality. Go to bridesclub.com. That's bridesclub.com. See upcoming bridal shows and events, view wedding vendors and special offers. And don't miss The Spotlight, the premier online wedding magazine with valuable articles you can't afford to miss. Brides Club helps make your wedding stress-free and perfect. Go to bridesclub.com. Check out bridesclub.com. Attention business owners. Experience a new world of business with barter. The Saturn Barter Company, located in Tacoma, is one of the most beneficial business decisions you can make. Using Saturn Barter, you are able to sell your products or services to other members of the exchange. You can then use that credit you've built up from your sales to purchase the products or services you or your company needs from other companies within Saturn Barter, all without the use of cash. Contact and join Saturn Barter Club today, 253-212-9930, or online at saturnbarter.com.
Get your daily dose of variety. Alternative Talk 1150.
Ladies and gentlemen, guys and dolls, cats and chicks, you're listening to Viva ENT. We're live on the air in Seattle, and my co-host Karen Zam has some special guests here today in the studio with us. Take it away, Karen.
We do. So we have some Seattle music history and growing legends here in the studio with us. Back in the 80s, there was a popular funk and soul R&B band named Teleclear who had some local success. And this Saturday, actually, there is a celebration party because a London record label is releasing never before heard music.
I heard that.
From this band. And we have three of the members from the original Teleclear here in studio. We have the producer, Tony Benton.
Oh, my gosh.
And
What's
vocalist.
Tony, my man.
We have vocalist Stacy Israel.
Hello, everyone.
And keyboard and vocalist Bernard Thomas.
And songwriter.
And songwriter.
Right.
All right. So can somebody tell us about the band in its heyday?
Teleclear, we were young and interested in playing original music, which was different at the time.
Right.
And so a lot of our time was actually spent in the studio, writing and recording more so than performing out in nightclubs. When we did play, it was usually at a big concert hall opening for a major act. But especially looking back on it now, just the opportunity to engage with people, who were in the community, who you grew up with, who were just all incredibly talented. And, like Stacy and Bernard are still using their gifts and talents today.
Right. Yes.
So what, tell us about the music that you produced in the early 80s.
The song you just listened to was called Fantasy Love.
I like it too.
And thank you.
Good groove.
And on the EP, there are 4 songs that have never been released. One is featuring Miss Stacey Israel.
Yeah.
It's called Is You or Is You Ain't? And we just actually shot a video to that
Yeah, it was nice.
Very cool.
last night. And Bernard we've been playing together and writing together and for just years. And so, you know, through the various iterations of the band, one of the consistencies has been Bernard.
Right.
And just an incredible talent, and again, still today, recognizing the music community for what he brings to pretty much, any type of music where he's going to be involved playing.
Well, you got to have some consistency, no question.
Yeah, no question.
We might have to do some stuff together, Bernard.
So Teleclear played some large opening shows and built a local following and produced a couple of albums or singles at that time?
We a couple singles, and a couple went really well. The Fantasy Love and Ultra Groove a single did well, and then we did the Affection Defection album, which ended up being selected for Wheedle's Groove. And that kind of gave us notoriety around the world. And then people started saying, well, what's the music that they've done? And we released I'll Be Cool This Time, which did really well for us on the East Coast.
Cool.
And then Carousels and By Your Side, which we had a video to that, and that was national. And then also a lot of airplay in Canada as well. And but still, just kind of recognized as a local group, not necessarily major national, regional success. And now, here we are, 35 years later, with music being distributed worldwide.
That's pretty cool, man.
So what has everybody been doing since then up until now?
Music.
All right, well, go ahead and shout out your projects.
I've been backing up and playing behind Freddie Jackson,
Cool.
Winbush, Howard Hewitt, Tom Brown, steadily playing, and just decided to be back 35 years with Teleclear.
That's very cool.
Home.
Nice.
Bernard, a long time ago, I used to call him the Funky B.
Yeah.
You see who he's playing with,
Impressive. And Miss Stacy.
So I actually am lead singer for a couple of bands. I have my own original band called Stacey Israel Band, where it focuses on more original material that I've written and co-written with some of my band people that I know. And then also there is Groove Kitchen Band too, which they've been keeping me kind of busy. Do a little bit of jazz duets, and I like the big noisy places, but then the small intimate ones are really nice too, like jazz and all that.
So Johnny is really tied into the wedding industry in a number of ways. So we'll make sure that that you connect, because both of these two artists here are in bands that certainly could service weddings as well.
Right, for sure.
And,
Absolutely.
Matter of fact, we might put them in the wedding expo, next wedding expo that comes up, if they're interested.
Great, yes, absolutely.
All right.
I got
and
2
we have
minutes,
2 minutes.
ladies and gentlemen, guys and dolls, cats and chicks. Please tell us, our listeners, your Facebook, what's happening with you guys on Saturday night. Do a quick spiel because we got 2 minutes.
Well, for Facebook, go to RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Love it.
Because we don't have, we just had our first rehearsal yesterday.
Right.
But you can come on April 20th to the Rumba Notes Lounge at 5041 Rainier Avenue South from 6 to 8. You'll be able to hear the EP in its entirety.
Very cool.
And we will be on stage performing live. We have our second rehearsal tonight, thanks to Mob Studios.
Right,
And we shot
beautiful studio.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And we had blast. It was like,
it was so fun. Time flew by so fast. I was like, oh my God, it's 1 o'clock in the morning already.
There's
It
a
was great.
gorgeous rehearsal video that is going to be released on RainierAvenueRadio.world tonight.
Sounds like sunshine on a cloudy day.
Ooh, yes.
now, dig this. Even something that's even cooler than me being involved with the weddings, I am the guy that books the Temple Theater in Tacoma. Oh, yeah. And we got big things happening. I'm getting ready to make a major announcement, probably in about 30 seconds.
I just want to make sure. I don't think that I heard the time. So the
Event Saturday?
the events are Saturday.
6 to 8.
Yes.
And no cover charge.
No cover
No
charge.
cover.
Free.
You mean
That
no?
is
no
fabulous.
Yeah.
So
Are you
people
saying
can
no
eat
cover?
and
Free.
Free, man.
And you can find the album. I believe we're going to close out with the title track, Fantasy Love, but it's Fantasy Love EP on Fantasy, or it's the Teleclear EP on Fantasy Love Records, which you can find online.
Since we already played Fantasy Love, how about a little bit of Is You or Is You Ain't?
I like it.
Okay.
No cover on the dance floor, baby.
All right, we got to go.
Okay, man. Ladies and gentlemen, you listen to Viva ENT. Thanks for coming in. Let's get you back.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yes, we're back.
I love it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Got to be sure